Remarks between the President and Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt. Broadcast room of the White House, March 1, 1961.
Mr. President, you're very kind indeed to give us a few words of introduction to the program, Prospects of Mankind, which is to be on the Peace Corps, which is one of your great interests. I would like to know how you originally thought of this. It seems to carry out your appeal for everyone to be of service in your inaugural address, but how did you come to venture to think of it first?
Well, of course, it had been discussed by a good many Americans, and this idea of particularly young Americans using their desire for service for the benefit of mankind. Congressman Royce in the House, Senator Humphrey, and others had been talking a good deal about it, and I felt during the fall that it should be a matter to which we should address ourselves. We've now organized it, and we hope by the end of this year to have between 500 and 1,000 young men and women, though perhaps later on we can go to all ages, in service around the world.
Well, this, of course, is a great opportunity, and this beginning is a pilot project, I imagine, and you hope that it will develop and that new things will appear as you work it out. It seemed to me that it was the beginning of a broadening of our whole idea, and perhaps I'm wrong in this, but possibly that we had been thinking so much in the past of so many questions on a national scale only, and this was the beginning of thinking on an international scale.
Well, I agree, and I think that the fact that this concept of service to our country, or really in a broader way to the cause of peace, the fact that there's gotten such an overwhelming response in schools and colleges across the country shows that there's a strong thread and a strong cord of service and a desire to be involved in a great effort which really runs through our people. With all the emphasis on the life of ease, which we hear so much about in this country, I think the fact that this response has come forward is one of the most encouraging things that I've seen. These young men and women will not be paid any salary. They'll live among the people of the country to which they're accredited. They will work particularly on teaching, on health, malaria eradication, and so on, and on agriculture, how they can improve the food production, those three areas. And we'll send men and women who can serve and be a credit to this country and to the cause with which
probably
we're associated.
On sanitation too,
sanitation, that's correct.
And possibly on helping people to use to better advantage the things that they have had as scientific discoveries make it possible.
That's
because
right.
I know that in certain areas of the world there are foods available that people do not use, which might be of great value to the people.
Well, I'm hopeful that this will be as I say, I think it can do a good deal abroad, but I think it can also do something here at home in turning our attention to public service, national service, instead of really always following our own pursuits.
It is a great opportunity also for our young people to learn about the world in which they live, but also I like the idea that it may be extended and to older people also, and I understand your hope is that other countries will come in and also do much of this work as we begin it.
That's right. The British have been doing some on a limited scale, and a group has been set up, and a group of volunteers, and they've had done remarkable work. I'm sure that there is, through the whole free world community, a great desire by younger men and women to be of service, and I hope that that great asset can be tapped. So this is a beginning. We want to use as much as we can private institutions, private universities, private organizations which have been in this work so that we can make the most effective use of our talent.
Yes, and will it be possible, for instance, for the UN to call upon our people for service if they have projects?
That's right. We're going to attempt at the beginning to cooperate as closely with them as possible.
Well, that would be a very valuable service because it would remove cost in a great many cases, which would be a very valuable thing. And will they be able to work under experts in countries. For instance, where you are sending an expert in a certain field, you could send young people who were really getting their training still, couldn't you?
Yes, though I think the people that we send abroad should be have skills which could be sharpened, I think, by study either in this country or in the country to which they're going, so that we can make the most effective use of our talent. It is expensive to send people abroad. It requires a good deal of effort by their part. We want to make sure that those that we send can bring a return on.
Well, I was interested that, for instance, among the groups you mentioned labor. It seems to me that there is a great deal that could be offered by labor. For instance, in many countries, they want the technicians, an electrician, a plumber, various things, which perhaps you would not get out of many young people.
That's right. I think that after we've gotten started, we should attempt to cover every age group, because there's a desire to serve among, and a capability among all Americans, and not just, though I think at the beginning we'll probably have the biggest response from younger people. I hope that those with special skills who are older, language skills as well as technical skills, will find it possible to devote some of their life.
It is possible for them to have a period of orientation to learn a language, isn't it?
Well, I would feel that in order to do it most effectively, that there should be some skill in the language before they offer their services. If we're only going to be able to send really relatively a limited number of people, considering the need, and therefore they should really have a skill, a talent, and a desire to serve.
Still, there are not many people who know certain languages where the need is greatest. So I should think that there would have to be an effort made to give them at least some basic training in learning the language, and then they can acquire more on the job.
Well, I agree. Some of the esoteric dialects would require, but it takes many months to really learn to be effective in a language, and if we really have to balance off. We have to wait and see how many volunteers we get and what their skills are. But I would think that those that would be certainly go at the beginning would be those who had some particular talent which they could bring to the program.
And you think of it also as being valuable to us as Americans in our gain in knowledge of the world, don't you?
That's right. They will all come back with the most valuable experience. And as I say, one of the most encouraging facets of the entire concept of the Peace Corps has been the response. I think that we have really thousands and hundreds of thousands of people in this country who want a chance to be of service to the country and to the causes with which we're associated. This gives them one area.
Could not we also use some of these people in depressed areas in this country to do a revitalizing of certain things in those areas that needed to be done? One
of the matters which we're now studying is how we could use Americans who desire to serve in our own country, slum areas, in education retraining, and all the rest. And we hope in the coming months to be able to decide how we can determine that program.
It would seem to me that that would be a part of this that would develop and that might be extremely useful, because there are people who can't go out of their own country. But I was interested in reading over, I can't remember if it was in your statement or not, that you would send perhaps eventually even couples if they were both trained, if they were both able to do something. And I have seen couples working together, for instance in Israel, in a children's village. And I think that this might be something which could be used in our own depressed areas very well, if you could put a couple with certain kinds of training in to help them rebuild and start new industries or something that had to be done in the area. It might help us a great deal, as well as helping other countries.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, we are now attempting to see how we can use this reservoir of talent and desire here in our own country as well as abroad. I just want to say that it's a pleasure to have participated in this discussion, which is going to be carried on and also to welcome Mrs. Roosevelt back to the White House.
Oh, thank you very much, and I am very grateful to you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.